This young man is so strong that he points. Need to stop for a while. Caused the whole planet to change. He wanted to challenge himself, but because he was too strong, he stopped. Easily defeat other gods and become the leader. Time passed, and no one was strong enough to withstand his full power. So he decided to leave the god's sanctuary and go to Earth to enjoy the thrill of fighting. To add to the excitement, he possessed a weak body. On Earth, where a boy, exhausted from bullying, had committed suicide. At that moment, the god entered the boy's body. After waking up, he learned that the body's owner was named Lee Ho, and that the source of his problems was the school bullies. Without hesitation, he went straight to class, his body still covered in wounds. Seeing the school bully sitting in front of him, Lee Ho couldn't contain his excitement. But the first thing he did was stand still and let the bully hit him. Because he had set a personal rule. A fight could only begin when all involved parties showed a desire to fight. He was always ready for a fight. So the key was the opponent's intention, and confirming it was simple. The opponent just had to strike first for the fight to officially begin. Finally, the day I've been waiting for has arrived. 3 million years ago, on Earth, was the dawn of humankind. He was there, a simple Australopithecine. He rode a mammoth, looking heroic. He had an unusual love for hunting. Strangely, he never died. Eons passed, countless lives lived and died. But time had no effect on him. What kept him alive through eternity was hunting, war, and combat. His only joys. Over 3 million years, his body evolved for combat. His rippling muscles the power that made him a top-tier god in the divine realm, the god of Earth, responsible for the planet. He sat casually on a stone bench, then sighed in boredom, "This is so boring." Immediately afterward, he raised his sharp toenails and kicked into the void. But it seemed to have struck the god's sanctuary. The gods, all too familiar with this, shook their heads wearily. The god with long white hair and 2 horns on his head, the second highest god in the divine realm, Elmir Lucifer, groaned helplessly, again. He sat there, propping his chin, thinking, "I feel like I've fought everyone worth fighting, and now there's no one left to match me." He thought back, when was the last time I fought? About 1,000 years ago, so being too strong is a problem, huh? He sighed in frustrated helplessness, "I can't fight because I'm too strong." Then, as if suddenly enlightened, "Then I just need to become weaker, right? I am a genius." Right now this idea came to him after 1,000 years. He had thought that with the weak body of a human from Earth there would be no shortage of opponents to fight. Satisfied with this new idea, he called out to Yong Yong. A strange creature appeared in the sky and landed. It was a dragon with long, strong wings, but evolved to resemble a human, possessing a muscular body and sharp claws. Its narrow, dangerous eyes, it was the chief secretary of the supreme god. Yong Yong, once firmly on the ground, spoke, "You called for me, why are you leaving?" He left his seat, walked away, waved his hand, and said, "While I'm gone, make sure everything is well taken care of." The binding of the absolute being. Yong unleashed his power, his clawed hands transformed into a long chain, tightly wrapping around the god's body. Yong held one end of the chain, pulling it, laughing, he said, "Where are you going, master?" Yong continued indignantly, without even an explanation, "A group of gods is coming soon, what are you planning to do?" With his power, he walked, naturally dragging Yong behind. He said, "Do you work part-time or something?" Yong, being dragged along, pleaded, "Please." He cried, "What am I supposed to do if you leave like this? I don't even know where you're going or why. What am I supposed to say at the meeting? Everyone might vent their frustrations on me and treat me like a thug. I was born for this, I feel so worthless." Perhaps unable to bear Yong's incessant complaints, he angrily used his power to break the chain, snapping, "Do you want a beating?" Yong looked at the broken chain and flatteringly said, "Safe travels, my lord." He waved his hand, saying, "I'm leaving." Using his hand and his supernatural abilities, he opened a rift in space, then thought, whose body should I borrow now? In the endless void, thousands of voices echoed, but one stood out, please, God, end the world, I don't want to go to work, God, oh my God, if there really is a God, go eat shit, if you're pissed off, then send me to another world. He heard it all and decided, alright, you're chosen, a triumphant smile spread across his face, I will grant your wish. Yong sat behind, watching silently and helplessly. He thought, should I explain a little? Then he decided to tell Yong, I'll be leaving behind my body, so take good care of it, I'm leaving it in your hands because it's yours, take good care of the one who will replace me. Yong's mouth dropped in shock, then, understanding what was about to happen, Yong lamented, you're only taking the soul, that's not allowed, if the body dies while the soul is still inside, the soul will also be destroyed. He reassured Yong, what's so much to worry about, I'll be back soon. Yong helplessly exclaimed, that's not allowed, it's too dangerous. Before Yong could finish, he opened the endless void and plunged into it. A game character, sword in hand, his face showing exhaustion after a battle, uttered with difficulty, finally, I beat it. He proudly shouted, Demon King. A pair of hands held a phone displaying the game's ending, a voice exclaimed, it's over, with my cheating skills, I easily became a Munskin in another world. So, is this the harem ending in another world, lucky bastard, that voice belonged to a 17-year-old earthling named Lee Ho. Lee Ho let go of the phone, letting it fall freely. The phone shattered on the ground, he looked at it and said, that's fun. Standing on the roof of the tallest building, he thought about everything, his hands clenched, as if deciding to let go of everything, now I can die without regrets, he thought. This damn world. Farewell. Hoping for another world and the life he desired, he didn't hesitate to jump. As his body fell, he angrily cursed, if there really is a God, go eat shit, damn it, if you're pissed off, then send me to another world. After death. The next thing he saw was a gigantic monster in front of him, making him break out in a cold sweat. Both Yong and he spoke at the same time, asking the same question, who are you? A second before Lee Ho's body hit the ground, the god's soul possessed it. What the, I just got here. The moment his body impacted the ground, splattering blood, he could barely move his limbs, his muscles were beyond his control. Involuntary muscles that move without conscious control are called involuntary muscles. The heart and visceral muscles are examples of involuntary muscles. You have spent 3 million years training your physical body and have reached the pinnacle of your understanding of the human form. He could consciously control every part of his body and blood vessels, and even involuntary muscles were no exception. He clutched his chest and repaired his heart by adjusting his blood vessels, even stopping the bleeding. Honestly, it's been a long time since I've lost this much blood. The feeling of bleeding excited him more than ever, and now he felt immensely proud that his decision to come here was the right one. He rested his chin on his hand, falling into memory. Now, let's review his memories. He decided to return to base first, and of course, that base was the home of the earthling, Lee Ho. His slow, limping steps frustrated him. At this rate, it would probably take all day to get there, how annoying. Unable to bear the slow pace, he did a banana tree pose, pushing off with his hands and shooting forward. Arriving at Lee Ho's bedroom, he sat there for hours, exploring the boy's memories. Finally, he understood. He had a relative, but they lived far away. Basically, Lee Ho lived alone. Simply put, he was poor or impoverished, his job was attending a place called school, and more. At that school, someone harassed him every time he went. This seemed to excite him even more. Excellent. Since his sole purpose for coming here was to fight, considering that, he was ready, let's jump straight into a fight, he assumed a stance, hands thrust forward. While still filled with excitement, he suddenly felt a slight muscle ache in his arm, and he quickly realized that. Was it because of that banana tree pose? This body wasn't used to using those muscle groups. Although the pain was quite unpleasant and could be inconvenient, he felt completely refreshed to experience the familiar feeling of muscle soreness after 1,000 years. The next day, at the place where Lee Ho jumped the previous night, the police arrived and quickly cordoned off the area, restricting access. The numerous bloodstains on the ground attracted the attention of many people. Curious voices whispered, "What happened? Why is there so much blood?" He was humming a tune, approaching the scene, and saw everything clearly. Instead of going to the scene, he went straight into a building's entrance. In the hallway, the sounds of a lecture echoed. Page 56, first line, the emergence of socialist thought in the early 1920s, mainly within the young intellectual group. He arrived at the classroom door. Guided by his memories, he opened the classroom door with the power of his soul, causing it to swing back and hit his face. Inside, a student noticed his presence. "Hey, you idiot Lee Ho, what are you doing?" Upon seeing his face, he quickly remembered that this was the bully from Lee Ho's memories. Seeing his prey filled him with immense joy and pleasure. "It's you, isn't it?" The student sneered, seeing his wide grin. "You've gone crazy, haven't you? Where are your glasses?" Without warning, he put his phone down on the desk with one hand, pulled his other hand out of his pocket, and threw a punch right at his face. He laughed loudly. "You sold them, huh? Without your glasses, you're easier to attack than a fake grandma." His punch caused his face to bleed, but he didn't react to this preemptive strike. There's a unique rule when it comes to fighting. A fight only begins when all parties involved have demonstrated a will to fight, and he was always ready for a fight. Therefore, the key lies in the opponent's intentions, and the way to confirm that is through the opponent's first strike. Although the rule resulted in damage to his face, he seemed very pleased. Seeing him not react, but instead laughing joyfully, the student said, laughing, "You're clearly crazy." Not giving the student time to think or defend, he unleashed a devastating punch right to his face. Certainly, he put too much force into that punch, causing his arm to tremble and his muscles to ache intensely. The pain seemed unbearable, causing his entire face to wrinkle. The incident was happening in the classroom, so immediately, the angry teacher slammed his hand on the desk and yelled, "You guys! What are you guys doing during class?" At the same time, the students also turned to look. The student was also extremely angry. Damn this crazy guy. Unable to bear the humiliation after the brutal beating, the student charged in to salvage some face. Unlike the first attack, this time he was on high alert, but he wasn't sure if he could defend himself. If his body was in good condition, he could have dodged that, but as the student was about to throw a punch, he seemed to face the reality that he couldn't defend himself. But at that moment, an idea flashed. That's right, the Earth's energy. The student threw a punch with all his might. "Don't mess with me." While not having many choices and also not being able to use your hands, foot or magic. Before the punch landed, he used his hard head to retaliate. A cracking sound of bone could be heard. The student was in excruciating pain. He probably never expected this. He sneered, thin finger bones couldn't win against a skull. With his opponent dazed and distracted by the pain, he seized the opportunity and pressed his advantage. He held the student's injured hand and headbutted him in the stomach. The most vulnerable part of the human body. Then, he delivered another headbutt, straight to the chin. With that final blow, the student was defeated, completely exhausted and unconscious. The classmates immediately pulled out their phones to record. Their faces were sweating as they watched him easily defeat their former bully. Incredulous voices exclaimed, "What, Lee Ho won, but yesterday he was beaten up and ran home." After the fight ended and the excitement subsided, something could only be felt then. The pain in the injured areas. The metallic taste of blood in his mouth. That's it. Looking at the unconscious student, he bowed down, thankful. It felt like it had been a long time since he'd felt this much joy, so he wanted to thank him, perhaps. He leaned closer to the student's face and opened his mouth, aiming for his ear. A tearing sound, then he stood up and spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. The students, still stunned by the first event, were now filled with utter terror. Existential doubt appeared on every face, and terrified voices whispered, "He just bit off his ear, this guy's insane." He stood there, looking down at his handiwork, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and grinned widely. "It's been a long time since I had such a fun fight." Mu always leaves his mark on those who give him an exciting fight. That's how he expresses his gratitude, marking them as toys that bring him joy. They are called Mu's toys. Only brave warriors can bring Mu joy through battle, making Mu's toys symbols of strength. However, on Earth, it's seen differently. In another classroom, while the teacher lectured enthusiastically, whispers circulated in the corners. A dark-haired student turned to his classmate, "Did you hear about the fight in class 2? The light brown-haired student, seemingly just waking up, yawned. "A fight, that's big news," the dark-haired student continued, "but I heard something strange." The light brown-haired student perked up. "What is it?" The dark-haired student said gravely, "The bully was defeated by the kid he bullied, and the loser got castrated." Ignoring the sounds below, a tabby cat on the classroom balcony awoke from a long nap. It stretched, yawned, and began meowing. In contrast to the cat's carefree demeanor, an ambulance arrived in the schoolyard and carried the unconscious student away. Standing at the classroom window, watching the scene unfold, he complimented the Earthlings, "Good mobile treatment service." The ambulance drove off. He stood there, smirking, waving, "See you later." In contrast to his nonchalant attitude, the teacher, red-faced with anger, shouted, "Lee Ho," to the principal's office. In the teacher's office, the teacher sat on the chair, his face red with anger, his hands clinging tightly to the armrests of the chair, scolding him fiercely, "Have you lost your mind?" But then, because he was so angry that he couldn't control his instinctive actions, he grabbed the documents on the table and headed towards him. "Did you do that to your classmate?" Seeing the teacher's furious, almost insane expression, he showed no remorse or fear. On closer inspection, a hint of smugness and expectation could be seen on his face. "Go on, hit me." The teacher seemed to notice his overly excited demeanor. Suppressing the urge to strike him, the teacher retracted his hand, turned back to his chair, and said, "Why am I even talking to you? Call your parents. Don't cause any more trouble today, and go home early." Seeing the teacher's series of actions that seemed to want to hit him and then stop, his face went blank. "No more hitting, go home early." On his way home, his hands in his pockets, he walked with a limp, taking small, hesitant steps. His thoughts raced. Going home early means returning to base. Looking down at his still trembling hands, he encouraged himself, "Luckily, I need time to recover from those wounds. There's so much I need to do if I want to continue fighting with this weak body. If only I could use mana." The superhuman power, mana, in some places, it's called chi or chakra, but most gods call it mana. The life force that exists everywhere in nature, mana, it allows humans to become the world's top hunters and mages in other worlds. But mana doesn't exist on Earth, so magic and skills can't be used. He extended his hand, attempting to use his abilities, but to no avail, still no progress. Slightly disheartened, he made a decision, perhaps I'll need to adapt to fighting without those things. He let his weary body collapse onto the bed, then sent his soul to his divine world. Recovery will take time, I should return to base. After some time, he returned to his base. Joyfully, he shouted, "Yong, Yong, Yong, I'm back." Before he could finish, he froze, his eyes fixed on the scene before him. Earthling Lee Ho was riding on Yong's neck, and poor Yong was struggling, groaning with each breath. Poor Yong, completely exhausted, collapsed to the ground, panting. Lee Ho slid off Yong and approached him without hesitation, demanding, "Give me that dragon." He continued, "Aren't you the one who summoned me to another world? You could have just given me the dragon while you were at it." A cunning smile glinted in his eyes. "With a dragon, I can conquer another world." He paid little attention to his words. He conjured a giant hand with magic and seized him. Suddenly grabbed, he struggled but couldn't escape, yelling, "What the hell, what are you doing?" Ignoring him, he turned and walked away, leaving behind the words, "I will take you to another world." A moment later, he and Yong brought him to a castle, the second-ranked territory of Lucifer. He stormed into the castle without permission or warning. Only Yong spoke, offering an apology. Standing before the reflection circle, Lucifer seemed to already know what had happened and why he was there. As soon as Yong apologized, he bluntly said, "No." Yong was taken aback. I haven't even said anything yet." Ignoring his refusal, he insisted, "Yes, I will take him there, open the gate." Lucifer retorted, "Why do you have the right to decide that?" He presented evidence of the vast power difference between them, "Because I'm stronger than you." He cracked his knuckles and licked his lips provocatively. "If you have a problem, go ahead, I'm ready anytime." Lucifer knew his own limitations, so despite his anger turning his face red, he could only clench his fists, grit his teeth, and endure only power. Then, with a resigned sigh, he agreed to open the gate. However, he immediately put his hand on his shoulder to stop him, decided, "I'll handle it myself, get out of the way." Lucifer warned, "What are you doing? Interfering in another god's territory is forbidden among gods. If a god without authority touches a barrier, it will activate. Even for you." Ignoring Lucifer's warning, he used his bare hands to break through the barrier and turned back, sneering at Lucifer. "Why not? You've never tried, you lazy bum." Lucifer stared in disbelief. "But, that's how the laws of this world work." He turned, released Li Ho, and commanded, "Go in." Li Ho was confused. "What?" He reiterated Li Ho's ideal. "Didn't you say you wanted to go to another world? Here's another world." Li Ho looked at him. "You want to bargain? What about the dragon?" He crossed his arms and flatly refused. "Find your own Yong, this Yong is mine." "So no." Li Ho didn't give up. No, that's not it." To prevent Li Ho from making further demands, he used his giant hand to throw him into the portal. He added scornfully, "Kids these days, all they do is wait with their mouths open." After everything was done, he walked away, waving to Lucifer and not forgetting to instruct, "Take care of him." Lucifer remained there, his clenched fists trembling with anger. Lucifer originally came from his domain, the planet Elmir. He was known as the first demon king and leader of all life. With arrogance he challenged the one called God and killed him. He then usurped the god's position and defeated other gods to claim supreme power. He became the god of gods, their supreme being. Unbeatable, supreme, legendary, and unique. Devastating, infinitely mysterious, and superior. Anyway, he was great until Mu appeared. At this moment, Lucifer's face was as red as a ripe tomato, filled with raging anger, cursing the human-born wretch. Before leaving, he left behind a gigantic eye to observe, then leaped onto Yong's back and commanded, "Let's go." His face filled with anger, he growled, "You wretched human-born scum, I'll kill you." His expression was full of killing intent, that of a disastrous loser. His face bandaged, he sat on the hospital bed, phone in hand, his eyes filled with anger. He thought he was strong, but in reality, he was finished. He grabbed his phone. "Let me call Cheol Hyung," his face red as if he'd eaten chili peppers. Kang Cheol was practicing boxing for the upcoming sports competition. He was a former national youth champion, a middleweight boxing champion, Kang Cheol. A phone rang from his locker. He turned around, wondering, "Who's calling?" "Guak Cheol." "Oh, it's my phone." The ringtone rang. "Tut tut tut," he answered. "Hello, what's up?" He had 2 years of boxing experience and 14 training sessions. On the other end of the line, "Hyung, it's me. Your phone screen is still broken, right? Do you want to buy a new one?" He chuckled, "Get to the point." In the classroom, he opened the door and entered. His classmates stared. "Whoa, look. How did he become like this after always bullying others? He acts tough, but he's nothing. Why did I fear him irrationally? It seems like he's about to get castrated, huh?" He threw his bag on the floor and hissed, "Damn it. You guys are whispering loud enough for me to hear on purpose, aren't you, you cowards? If you have something to say it to my face." She suddenly stood up, giving a mysterious smile, haha. Her face angered, she shouted, just sit down or get out. He became even more furious, his face reddening, his fists clenched. Are you crazy? He picked up a chair and yelled, do you want to die, you crazy b***tch. The teacher suddenly entered. What's going on here? Why are you all standing up, class monitor? She replied, nothing, sir. The teacher continued, oh, class monitor. After school today, come see me for a moment. Her face turned red. Why, sir? Lee Ho caused a disturbance yesterday and isn't answering his phone. Can you check on him? I'll write you a fantastic recommendation letter for your final year, please. Today is important. After the teacher left, she seemed angry. At the end of the day, she went to a room and knocked. Is anyone there? No one's here. She opened the door and said, I'll come in. But she was surprised, the door was already open. Inside, her classmate was unconscious in the middle of the room, surrounded by many cockroaches. She screamed in terror, her face pale. The next morning, he was taken to the hospital for an IV drip. He opened his eyes in surprise, not knowing what had happened. Where is this place? Inside the body is the soul of the blind land god. It doesn't look like my memory. What is this? His eyes widened in surprise. Something was flowing into his body through his veins. It's definitely nutrients. They're being absorbed very quickly. It's helping me recover. It's not magic, but the effect is impressive. It seems there are some good things on earth after all. She sat beside him, her eyes confused. Asterisk, what's going on? Asterisk, she thought. Asterisk, why is he laughing like that? Is he crazy? She stood up, shouldered her backpack. The homeroom teacher told me to go back to school. He told me to find him first, but he kept nagging, so I left. He thought, asterisk, is this the person who helped me recover? Asterisk, wait a minute, I have a question. She turned to look at him. What is it? Hurry up, I'm busy. He thought intensely. Asterisk, I don't know enough about Earth, I need more information. The most important thing is, do you know where I can train my body? Her eyes showed a little confusion. You don't have any money, right? That afternoon at the park, he was practicing pull-ups. This place is pretty amazing, huh? So this is what they call a sansu jang. This is professional training equipment, compared to my time, 4,000 years ago. Rolling rocks, climbing cliffs, digging holes. It's all just simple, basic training methods, but maybe Earthlings are stronger than I thought. He was surprised. Asterisk, they use this thing like this. What does this train? Suddenly, someone threw a rock at his back. Two boys stood behind him. We found you, Lee Ho. I've been searching for you all over the neighborhood. His face was red with anger. Why are you here? He bent down and picked up the rock. Who threw this? Who else? Me. You're dead meat now. My cousin knocked out a bunch of 5th and 3rd graders. He raised his fist and punched the boy in the face, sending him sprawling. Ouch. He smiled. A preemptive strike. Welcome. Elsewhere, a meeting of the gods was taking place. Okay, Yong, I'll start the meeting now. He held up a piece of paper. Since Muck isn't here, I'll just relay his message. Suddenly, someone spoke. Hey, Yong. What do you think you're doing? Yong shook his head. No, nothing, I was just going to relay the message and leave. Ahem, here's the message. As usual, if you find someone worthy of a fight, report it, that's all. He slammed his fist on the table. What's the point of this? I'm tired of these pointless meetings. Now he doesn't even bother to show up. Are we really okay with this? This meeting is supposed to ensure the stability of the world. He replied, we only intervene and handle things when there's an anomaly that Earth's God doesn't address, but this is ridiculous. His absence is disappointing. He's the archer god, so. The other slammed his fist on the table, his eyes blazing. The real problem is that maintaining the world seems like a joke to that bastard. The whole system could collapse because of his reckless actions. And the worst part is, his solutions always make things worse. Cyclops, the god of Cyclops, remember the planet Cyclops 1,000 years ago. 1,000 years ago, the non-beings of planet Cyclops, a fiery red in the galaxy. If the gods had cooperated we could have minimized the damage, but instead that idiot ruined everything so that the creature swallowed about a portion of the planet. He was angry and I couldn't stand it anymore when I had to watch him destroy everything. He didn't deserve to be a god. Yong, yes, my lord. Why must I endure this trial? Please return soon. On Earth, he clutched his nose, you crazy bastard. Do you know who my cousin is? He's a boxer, you idiot, you're finished. Guak Cheol, you're fast, what sport do you play? He replied, sports, I don't play any, I just fight. He was chewing gum, laughing maniacally, spitting the gum out of his mouth, haha, is this some kind of high school delusion syndrome, haha. Alright. He threw a punch, let's see what you've got, he then kicked him in the face. He was surprised, what's wrong with this guy? He watched his own punch from beginning to end. But he intentionally took the hit. He smirked, blood began to flow from his nose, I never dodged the first blow. He licked the blood around his mouth, is hand-to-hand combat your specialty? Guak Cheon was surprised. Now he's fighting back, is this your usual style? Guak Cheon's eyes flashed with anger, this brat is clumsily imitating me, how ridiculous. He punched him in the hand, causing him excruciating pain. Damn it, what kind of punch was that? The force is incredible. He laughed triumphantly, now this is more like it. At the moment of impact, I clenched my muscles as hard as I could. His arm was aching, but whatever. Because this feeling is amazing. I've never felt this kind of power from those weaklings, those who would fall the moment I touched them. He pulled out his belt, frightening Guak Cheon. However, if I want to continue fighting, I have to protect this body carefully. Let's use Himantes then, those wrist wraps used in ancient Greek boxing, made of cowhide, for meters long, wrapped around the wrists. The other guy yelled, what the heck, bro, you said it would be a fair fight. Guak yelled, shut up, don't interfere. Do you really think you can win like this? He raised his hand defensively. He yelled, with that attitude, your defense is a joke, fast and precise, but predictable. He concentrated, just by looking at the way his muscles moved. I can tell exactly where he's aiming. He swung his arm aiming for his stomach, a bug-slicing blow. But he was countered, the blow landing on his elbow. He cried out in pain, damn it. He just called you cousin, he laughed, their reactions are hilarious. That blow sent him sprawling, the other guy stood beside him, what's up? He looked at him challengingly, want to try? Let's end this, shall we? He looked terrified, trembling. His eyes trembled with fear, don't come here. You don't have the will to fight, so why not? Aren't you going to fight? He was sweating, his face was pale and white, if I admit defeat, this will be the end. He raised his fist and punched him in the face, making him stiff and sprayed with glue. Spot. No, he continued punching him like a punching bag. His face was now swollen. His nose was running, and tears streamed down his face like rain. He laughed to himself, thinking how cruel he was, you still refuse to admit the mine had failed. He collapsed onto the park grounds, he walked away with a smug smile. He lay sprawled on the ground, still muttering, Mom, this crazy guy. He returned to his room, sat on the bed, and thought to himself, fighting is actually fun. He looked at his bruised arms, thinking, but this body is so weak. I never thought my muscles would be so easily injured like this. I need to continue this feeling, it's a pity that the flow keeps getting interrupted. This time, I'll definitely bring back what I promised Yong. He sat quietly, feeling something strange, why not? Elsewhere, a few days earlier, in the sacred territory of Elmir, Lucifer the god. I'm leaving, Mu, take good care of him. Mu rode on Yong and flew away. How was your trip to Earth? Ah, very satisfying, but my body is too weak. Try finding a recovery orb. Magic orbs are objects containing magic, used on Elm, a planet under Lucifer's control, or other planets. These items are common on planets with abundant mana, but on Earth, they can only be found through divine magic or randomly, so only a few people could use them in human history. And they were revered as gods. I'll prepare before your next visit, you're leaving now. Yong, what about the regular meeting? Mu jumped off Yongyong's back. Chuckling, I've already prepared, you nag too much. Mu handed Yongyong a piece of paper. And his soul went to Earth, leaving only his body behind. Currently, Lucifer of Elmir doesn't know what that person is plotting, but his body is currently empty. He didn't even bother to show up at the regular meeting, meaning he has no intention of returning for a while. In that case, this is a once-in-a-millennium opportunity. He let out a cunning smile. The life shell. That purple light, intending to control Yongyong. Yongyong retaliated, what are you going to do? Is this a declaration of war against the Earth God? He flew into the air. I will expel the Earth God from his position as God. His eyes were serious, this is indeed a declaration of war. Yong used his compressed soul to fight and spit fire at Elmir Lucifer. He also crossed his eyes and then counterattacked. Sosa Soso laughed loudly watching them perform light shield comedy. A circle of light surrounded and protected those at the table. Outside, only they fought, unleashing their divine wings. Red lights were fired. Yongyong flew close to him. Elmir Lucifer, you're next, after you, it's your master. Yongyong, filled with indignation, there is no next. Soso sighed, watching them, this atmosphere isn't suitable for this meeting. Elmir Lucifer injured Yongyong, causing him to bleed from the mouth. Soso, disheartened, said, I'm leaving. Elmir Lucifer, wait, whose side are you on, expulsion or opposition? Soso leave, it doesn't matter, just consider me neutral. Elmir Lucifer sneered, fine, just don't get in my way, if anyone opposes me, step forward now. I'll handle it myself. Yongyong, filled with indignation, you really think you can defeat your master? He chuckled, his voice sarcastic. You mean your master, the one who seized the body of a weak human? Yongyong was surprised, you knew. He scoffed, complacency in strength and negligence of vigilance lead to this outcome. He struck Yongyong in the back. You won't escape. Yongyong wrapped his tail around Elmir Lucifer. His face paled slightly, but he counterattacked like a storm. He slashed Yongyong's tail, stay there, Yongyong, as long as I live, I can reach Earth. He laughed sinisterly, and when I get there, I'll completely destroy your weak master. Yongyong laughed loudly, ha. Guak Cheol was being scolded by his coach, you idiot, the competition is approaching, and you've lost your mind, I told you before, don't fight while everyone's training. Guak Cheol, with a broken arm, could only bow his head in apology. He angrily scolded him, get out of my sight, don't come back until your arm is healed. He went home, scratching his head, if it weren't for that guy. He then ran into Kong Cheol, who was just arriving. Kong Cheol's eyes widened in surprise. Curious, what happened to your hand? Guak Cheol's face flushed, this. Kong Cheol, he's the best fighter in our gym. Kong Cheol, what's wrong with you? He smiled wryly, is this okay? He bowed his head, the truth is, kids these days are scary. I heard my younger brother was being bullied, so I tried to intervene and reason with him. But he attacked and beat me up. He wiped away his tears, and that's how my arm and ear ended up like this. Those bastards, the competition is next month. Kong Cheol replied, you should have been more careful before the competition. He turned to leave, adding, instead of fighting, you could have done an extra training session. What kind of person is he? Wasn't it useless? Kong Cheol, oh, by the way. He continued, haha, what, did he find out yet? Crocodile tears. Kang Cheol, who is that guy? Still in the room, why not? Strange. There's really only one situation where we won't be able to go back. When the original body is damaged. My body should be protected by Yongyong, and even without Yongyong, not many things can harm me. He suddenly realized something impossible. Could all the gods have joined forces to attack me? If that's the case, he got up and went outside. We can't waste time here. Those bastards, he slammed his fist on the bed, this can't be happening. His eyes were filled with rage. It's been a long time since they last dared to challenge me. We have to fight them, GRU. Please fight when I'm there. He was furious, wanting to blow everything up. After a while, he reminded himself to calm down. Even if they all attack at once. Yongyong isn't easily defeated. Even so, we can't just sit idly by, so I'll do whatever I can right now. The next day, he went to the park to practice on the monkey bars. From now on, I'll focus on strengthening other muscles besides my arms. Using muscles he rarely used, his muscles spasmed and writhed. He could feel them screaming in pain. It felt amazing. He laughed joyfully, like he'd struck gold, ha ha ha. People exercising in the morning looked at him with puzzled expressions. What's wrong with this guy? He's so strange, where did he come from? Suddenly, a voice called out, "Hey!" It startled him, causing him to fall from the monkey bars. He looked up, it was her, Jujin. She was furious. Why aren't you at school? They sat on a park bench. His eyes were confused. Do I really have to go to school? Isn't that the place for body training, right? She looked at him, a mix of confusion and curiosity. So what do you want to do? He replied, I want to become stronger, that's why I'm training. She continued, why do you want to be stronger? His eyes shone with fervent determination. So I can fight better. I'm too weak to fight now. My body is completely untrained, so I need to build it up. My arm is already damaged. Even though I've only fought a few times, with strength training at the gym, I can increase my strength. If I'm stronger, I can fight more, 2 hits instead of 1, 3 hits instead of 2, because my body will move better too. She didn't understand what he was saying. He's crazy, he's rambling about fighting for an hour. How am I supposed to get this guy to school? Suddenly, she had an idea. Right, what's the point of training if you don't have anyone to fight? You're just training alone here, no one will challenge you. Go meet people, create some conflict, and you'll have opponents to fight, you idiot. She stood up, starting tomorrow, go to school, don't make this my problem anymore. She left. He looked at her, then pondered, she's right. He thought about the 2 guys who challenged him. They probably won't show up again, so I need to find strong opponents. Looking for someone to fight while waiting for my body to recover, doesn't sound bad. Should I try that place called school, starting tomorrow? Lee Ho, a second-year student, stood behind him. Right, he heard the voice, turning around with an amused look, man, Earth is the best place. He heard the voice, turning around with an amused look, man, Earth is the best place. Kang Cheol, 15 years old, at the time he began to excel in boxing. Kang Cheol's younger sister, a rising young ballet dancer. Among the audience enthusiastically cheering for her, a stranger appeared, following her. He took pictures of her daily life and performances, covering his walls with them. The stalker's obsession grew increasingly serious. And finally, he couldn't take it anymore and followed her, intending to attack her from behind, but was suddenly punched in the face. Kang Cheol almost prevented the crime, but because he stopped too soon, the criminal didn't receive the proper punishment. He returned home filled with resentment. The obsession of the once failed stalker only intensified and became more dangerous. He followed the girl with a knife. Before he could strike, he was caught, his arm twisted behind his back. This time, the crime was prevented. But not as quickly as before. He used a knife to slash her leg, causing her to tremble in fear that her swan's wings would be broken. After that he no longer believed in the law. He angrily slammed the man's head onto the ground, punching him repeatedly. He decided to do what the law couldn't. From that night on, he became a vigilante, every night. He made those showing signs of becoming criminals pay the price beforehand. For him, fighting was judgment. He attacked him directly in the face. He turned to defend himself. His punches were light. Was he testing me? Nevertheless, the truth was that he had attacked. He looked excited. I thought it would be difficult to find a fight for a while, but it seems I'm lucky. He didn't reveal his face. What, you go around hitting people, do you want to be a thug? He replied, but too softly to hear. This made him even angrier. He raised his fist, then come closer. He punched repeatedly, but surprisingly, the other man dodged his blows. Good evasion, you limited his right side vision. He threw a powerful punch, hitting the man's arm. He replied, the block was pretty good, too. Keep blocking. Another lightning-fast punch. He put all his strength into the blow. This bastard keeps attacking my injuries. His entire arm was bruised. He punched him in the ribs. He screamed in pain. He said, maybe your arm's numb now, huh? No matter how injured you are, the judge will never forgive you. He stood there, sneering. You're laughing. He clutched his chest. This guy can't be defeated, at least, not now. But that doesn't exist. Which means we can't waste the opportunity to fight. I can't win just by enjoying it, I have to be careful and calm. Don't laugh, I can't always win, even when I have nothing. Still, it's exciting. I hugged my head, remembering past battles, but I want to win. So I decided to calm my emotions. And calmly assess my opponent. He swung and punched his opponent in the face. The more I think and fight with my head. Nothing is impossible, I'm getting stronger. Nothing controls my emotions to the maximum to become stronger. Even so, I still couldn't stop the feeling of joy from emerging little by little. Therefore, when we want to win, we must control our emotions more strongly. We have to force ourselves to look annoyed. He stood opposite, his eyes curious, not understanding what this madman was going to do. Are you still joking? He frowned. He lunged forward, raising his hand to punch again. His face darkened. He leaped forward, kicking up sand and stones. He covered his face, yelling and throwing sand in the other's eyes, a move only thugs would do, therefore completely predictable. What are you waiting for? Continue. His face was wrinkled like a prune. It only made him angrier, feeling provoked by him. He threw a kick, but he dodged it. Kang Cheol, increasingly angry, punched him repeatedly. Mu guessed he was aiming for the chin. Effective hand-to-hand combat techniques existed in the previous world. If there's a difference from the two people we fought before, it's that their fighting style was more defensive. The reason is the ground contains countless variables, making fighting with powerful movements difficult. Perhaps the evolution of flat ground and footwear has allowed today's warriors to be more aggressive. With that aggressive tendency and knowing exactly where he was aiming, leading his movements became easy. He continuously punched and kicked him. Finally, if we make him move more, the probability of the variables we set up before occurring will increase when that brief opening appears. Striking at the weakness, Mu countered with a punch. The lightning-fast punch left him no time to dodge. Suddenly, Mu grimaced, my hand wouldn't respond, I intentionally used my elbow in an emergency. He laughed arrogantly, haha, you missed. He swung the stick directly at his leg, causing him to grimace in pain, clutching his leg and collapsing. Kang Cheol, are you happy? He hit him on the shoulder with the stick. Maybe you'll continue doing the same and laughing like that in the future. So I'm sure you won't be laughing anymore. He raised the stick for a final blow, about to strike, when suddenly he conceded defeat. He thought to himself, how long has it been since I last tasted defeat? It's been almost 4,000 years. Suddenly, he realized something. What the heck, is there someone else here? Suddenly, a voice called out from the bushes, Master. He angrily pulled his shirt on and exclaimed, Damn it. Then ran away. Behind his owner Yong. He turned back, looking at your surprised face. You are Yong. On another planet, Mu's body was still surrounded by purple light. God Elmir Lucifer would never be able to return to his original body again. This is a completely sealed space, even his soul cannot enter. Now, what I need is to open Earth's barrier. Once I've dealt with him, I'll give you the position of Earth God, so why not cooperate? Yong yelled, What are you thinking? Speak up, I can't hear you with that huge body of yours. That space is sealed, meaning no attack can penetrate it, right? That's right, whatever you are, it's useless, there's nothing you can do. His face was pensive, so just follow instructions and accept the position being offered. I know the attacks are ineffective, that's enough. What is this purple light? Heaven and earth are shaking. This crazy dragon. Yong used shrinking magic to break the connection and escape. Yong, I've used all my strength and am in terrible condition, I need to get to Earth quickly. Inform the master of the current situation. Elmir Lucifer chased after that damned god. He's furious, I'll grind you and your master into dust. But unfortunately, Yong had already arrived on Earth. He fell right next to Mu. The fall caused Yong's horn to hit Kang Cheol's face. Yong, with a gloomy expression, that's what happened, Master, I'm truly sorry. Master. Mu's angry eyes, that bastard Lucifer. His innocent face pretended he didn't want to fight anymore, but he was ready to fight at any moment, that bastard. This isn't good, I need to get stronger as soon as possible to fight with this body. As soon as he raised his hand, he felt a sharp pain in his arm, with his current condition. I probably can't use it for a while. Did you bring the magic stone, Yong? Of course, I brought it. Yong tried to spit out a red pill. This is a dragon blood stone, enchanted for a single healing. If I'd known, I would have brought more, a stone formed from condensed dragon blood. Mu took the dragon blood stone, this should be enough. Mu absorbed the energy of the dragon blood stone. He looked down at his hands, the bruises were gone. This wasn't just a simple healing, was it? My muscles become more sensitive, is this a type of body strengthening magic? Yong smiled and continued, actually, I added my own magic to the dragon blood stone, I also put in some effort. Mu looked at the dragon bloodstone, it still had a little energy left, it seems it doesn't consume much mana because it's a human body, looks like we can use it again. Mu tossed it to Yong, use it. Yong swallowed it, no, I'll keep it for later. Jujin happily looked at Dooley, her pet, Dooley is as cute as ever today, if you could talk, we'd chat and play together every day. She put Dooley in the glass cage, be good, stay put. She put on her backpack and left the house, see you after school. He, his face bandaged, sat in the classroom doing his homework. Being a bully has never suited me, instead of causing trouble, it's better to study hard. Mu entered the classroom and recognized the boy he fought with yesterday. Hey, wanna fight, she said from behind him, you're here today. He looked back, oh, it's you, I'm convinced by what you said. She looked thoughtful, like she's looking for someone to fight. He doesn't have any strange plans, does he? Lucky me. Hey, have you heard anything lately? The boy replied, heard what? Another student chimed in, don't you know about the Year 2 neutralizer? There's no Year 2 student who's ever been bullied. The girl laughed heartily, haha. Kang Cheol, so you're saying he did that to his bully, that girl's crazy, yeah, I heard he even tore off one of his ears, that's why people started calling him the neutralizer. Kang Cheol suddenly remembered the fight from before, the ear, the person they're talking about seems like him. He suddenly paused, a look of suspicion on his face, that kid, could he be lying? I almost hit an innocent person, well, I did punch him a little. I didn't expect him to be behind me. Mu had no gain today. Everyone just draws with their fingers and no one wants to fight. Fine, I'll go to the fish fighting arena to practice. Oh, that's him, that arm. The size, the position, the muscles are exactly the same. Mu shouted, that's the guy from yesterday. Kang Cheol turned his head, what? Mu ran after him, but Kang Cheol was already gone. Kang Cheol, what the heck, that guy from yesterday, he chased me because he knew it was me. How did he know I was all covered up like that? Damn it, why is he still chasing me? Is he going to call the police? First, I need to lose him, he always turns right. Mu chased him, but didn't know which way he turned. Where did he go? What the heck, this is a perfect situation for a fight. Yong popped out from his clothes, you're looking for that guy from yesterday, the insolent one who dared to challenge my master. When we bumped into each other yesterday, I smelled an extremely strong masculine scent. Yong ran around sniffing, if we follow that direction. He suddenly bumped into Jujin's shoe. Jujin looked down, her eyes lit up when she saw Yong. The class president looked down at Yong, her face turned red and hot, she gestured dismissively to the side, what's this, girl, please, move out of the way. She immediately bent down and raised her hand to suddenly grab it. The girl excitedly touched its belly. Yong panicked, opened his mouth and struggled helplessly in his hands, angrily asking for help, what are you doing, do you know who I am? She was annoyed and frustrated, unable to use magic, she lifted it with her hand, damn it, if only I could use magic. A talking mythical lizard. Such a creature actually exists, it's so cute, her lustful gaze arose, it's as cute as Dooley, maybe even cuter than Dooley. Suddenly, Li Ho appeared and snatched Yong from her hand. Yong quickly ran and hid behind Li Ho's legs. I'm so sorry, if only I hadn't lost my power. The class monitor stared at him intently, her eyes blazing with anger and killing intent. Is that creature your friend? Yong sensed the predatory nature in her gaze. Looking down at Yong, this one, you can call it a friend, it's a well-behaved lizard. The class monitor stared at Yong, her cheeks flushed with desire, she seemed very interested in the lizard. She immediately reached out and pulled Yong up, as if offering it to her. Yong felt betrayed, clinging to his leg in panic, the lizard was confused, and the class monitor and she looked at each other shyly, both pleased. Finally, the lizard ended up in the girl's hands obediently. Back in the class monitor's room, Yong kept its head down. The class monitor looked at it curiously and nervously, is it angry at me? It coldly tossed its head, thinking about being betrayed, the boy grabbed its head and gave it to the class monitor. I'm looking for someone, if I find them, I'll let them borrow it. Helpless and sweating, it was thrown to the class monitor roughly, how you deal with it is up to you, I'll see you later. The class monitor unexpectedly hugged it, and it sat on her head, yelling at the boy, where are you going, master? He quickly turned away, smiling triumphantly as if someone had taken over his burden, I'm going to Sansajang, a series of memories flooded back to it, oh. Back in the room, it stood stiffly, looking at her with a disdainful gaze, ahem, I'm the secretary and assistant to the master. It offered its hand, suggesting long-term cooperation, as the master instructed, you'll be cooperating with me from now on. She looked at it in confusion, suddenly clutching her chest in pain at hearing she wasn't the master, you mean Li Ho is the master. They both shook hands, happy to cooperate. She smiled at it cheerfully, okay, I'll help you, but I'm actually the class monitor. It was surprised, the class monitor, she proudly raised her hand, explaining, that means I manage the class, and I also have the top score in the grade. Yong looked at her helplessly, I see, so, it wasn't by chance that the master chose her. It was startled, looking at her, wait, that means my master isn't the leader. She sat sternly, like a leader, Li Ho, he doesn't have a very high ranking, Yong yelled in surprise, what, that's impossible. It couldn't accept the harsh reality, painfully saying, sweating profusely, the master is the strongest being in existence, I don't believe this. If she's the leader of the class, then the master must be the master of the earth. Its image of the master was powerful and majestic, a true man whose body radiated a red aura, standing above all. It yelled, firmly correcting, my master is the strongest, understand, from now on, you must do everything to ensure the master remains the strongest. She happily agreed, okay, but on the condition that you come to my house to play with me often. It smugly thought, everything seems to be going according to plan. It leaned back, smirking wickedly, intending to use the girl to get more information about Earth. It showed a cooperative attitude towards the class monitor. Sounds good, it's nothing for the master. It felt self-satisfied and happy to be able to help its master. Yong, I will help you regain your position. Lee Ho was doing a one-handed pull-up on a monkey bar powerfully, landing in a very cool way. I feel better now. His clothes were soaked with sweat, his hands clenched, feeling the power, remembering the physical enhancement effect, and his previously broken muscle fibers now healed. I've become stronger. I should probably challenge myself a little more. He slammed his fist into the iron pillar and made a loud noise. It's like there's no pain anywhere. He pulled his hand back, blowing on it with a smug, happy expression, all good now. Suddenly, he noticed movement behind the bushes. He wondered, he's not coming today. He quickly turned and left, muttering, he was there, he called, he went to school, I'm sure I'll run into him again soon. The iron where he punched was dented, a deep hole formed. He walked down the road nonchalantly. A faint sweet smell lingered in the air. The class monitor and Yong were in the room, shopping online. This one, add them all to the cart. The girl selected items on her computer. First, I'll check the clothing section, I think they sell bags too. It sniffed, this is the scent of my owner's body. Joyfully discovering it was outside the window, it quickly dashed towards the door. Thank you so much, I'll stop by often, that's all for today. It swiftly jumped out the window, landing on Lee Ho's slender shoulder. Lee Ho was surprised. Oh, it happily reported to its owner, the mission you assign me is progressing very well. They cheerfully strolled past an alley where a fight was taking place. As if nothing was happening, it proudly recounted its accomplishments to its owner. Based on her obedience, she'll soon obey you. Suddenly, it caught a strange scent from behind and turned around anxiously. Inside the old alley, a ninja was mercilessly beating up a curly-haired man for stealing a bicycle. The curly-haired man retreated painfully. Damn it, that guy kills people for stealing bikes, how dare you hit me? The masked ninja savagely kicked the curly-haired man. The curly-haired man continued cursing, you know you're being hunted, right? You can't escape. The masked ninja showed annoyance. Shut up, you trash. Lee Ho and Yong appeared behind the ninja. Their ominous figures appeared behind him, found him. Along the way, Yong smelled Kang Cheol and pulled Lee Ho's hair. Here. A strong scent is coming from there. It pointed towards the alley. Kang Cheol jumped, turning around in panic. Wait, it's a misunderstanding. Lee Ho swiftly lunged forward, smiling gently, and jabbed at Kang Cheol. Kang Cheol frantically defended himself like a boxer. It's like this. They both charged, then suddenly stopped and stared at each other. Lee Ho smiled, not attacking. The other guy had no intention of fighting, so they just looked at each other. He explained, it's like this. The curly-haired man secretly grabbed a stick behind him and angrily tried to attack from behind, but the ninja quickly dodged. The curly-haired man yelled and attacked. Die. The ninja realized that if he dodged, he would hit Lee Ho. Lee Ho took the hit, smirking, right on target. He angrily kicked the curly-haired thief far away. He caught the stick spinning in mid-air. He hit the curly-haired man on the shoulder with the stick. The curly-haired man saw an opening and headbutted Lee Ho, but it was a painful mistake. Damn, it's as hard as a rock, referring to Lee Ho's shoulder. The curly-haired man was beaten to a pulp. Unable to move, the person lying on the ground twitched. Lee Ho looked at him and smiled in a scary way. How joyful it was when I first set foot on Earth, after being dormant for so long. However, fighting one-sidedly wasn't any different from before. But at least that guy should be at that level. Kang Cheol seized the opportunity to escape during the chaos. When Lee Ho turned around, he had already fled. Where did that guy run off to? In the deserted alley, only Lee Ho and the curly-haired thief remained. A few seconds earlier, Kang Cheol wondered why this guy could find him so easily. Yong smelled a captivating aroma, such a strong scent. It turned out he hadn't had a proper meal since arriving on Earth. Kang Cheol ran hastily, without looking where he was going, and bumped straight into Yong, sending Yong tumbling onto the road. Collision, then, gone. Kang Cheol ran home, slammed his door shut, trembling in fear. He took off his shoes, replaying the savage image of Lee Ho's laughter in his mind. Why was he so happy? Does he really love fighting that much? Suddenly, Kang Cheol's sister opened the door, cheerfully announcing, "Prosecutor, we have a case." She stood looking at him, smiling triumphantly, proud of herself. Today, another criminal was arrested. The stalker Kang Hyuna, having changed careers to become a prosecutor, she vowed to take down all criminals. She swaggered past, bumping his shoulder provocatively. "You dare block a prosecutor like me, get out of the way." He quickly moved aside, looking at his sister with a hopeless expression. "Didn't you feel any pain when you bumped into me?" The prosecutor glared at him, a mixture of anger and haughty disdain. "You're truly a fitting name for yourself." She turned away and condescendingly ordered her brother, "A bowl of noodles, no egg." The brother stood there, his face burning, his eyes narrowed in anger. It seemed that this incident had upset his sister. He stood lost in thought, contemplating the events of that day. He had violently subdued someone on the street. Since then, every time he threw a punch, all he felt was anger. He looked at his reflection in the pot of water, clenching his fist. He thought back to when he first started boxing. He hadn't felt this way then. It was truly different at the beginning. He stood there, lost in thought, staring at the pot of water boiling furiously on the stove, oblivious to everything else. And one day, it was a beautiful morning with a beautiful clear blue sky, but looking down the street, I saw students going to school, feeling depressed and walking like zombies. As for the main character, Lee Ho, along with Yong, walked down the street. Yong, tired and listless, looked at his master worriedly. "I'm so sorry, I was so hungry yesterday." Students at school saw the strange creature on Lee Ho's shoulder and gathered around, asking, "What the heck is that? Is that a Komodo dragon?" This made Yong even more tired. He didn't want to look at those dimwits. Lee Ho looked ahead and spotted a familiar figure approaching. He greeted her. The class president turned around, jumping for joy at seeing her beloved pet again. "Oh, hi Yong." He looked at her seriously, inquiring about the previous day's events. "I heard what Yong said. Did you understand anything?" She was surprised. "Oh, I just remembered him, the person who gave me Yong." Lee Ho cheerfully proposed a deal. "I need to find someone, help me, and I'll lend you this." Yong, treated as a bargaining chip by his master, could only silently sweat profusely. She quickly and seriously agreed. "That person, I think I know him." "If you're talking about the masked man who beat people up on the street, that's Il Chi Mai," he curiously asked. "What's Il Chi Mai?" She was surprised that he didn't know and explained. "You don't know? He's famous, a kind of Robin Hood, robbing the rich to help the poor. That's his nickname. He's known for dealing with troublemakers." She turned to look at him, suddenly remembering something. "Wait a minute, why did you two fight? Did you do something wrong?" Lee Ho looked into the distance, calmly. "What else? I don't know anything. That guy kept running, but next time we meet, he won't have a chance to escape." Suddenly, a face appeared behind him, staring at him with displeasure. Kang Cheol appeared behind Lee Ho, angrily muttering, "Wait for me after school, I'll come find you." Lee Ho and Yong felt a chill down their spines, breaking out in a cold sweat as they watched Kang Cheol approach. The class president looked at them both in fear and curiosity. "What's going on? Do you two know each other?" Lee Ho suddenly recovered his composure, quickly bursting into a savage laugh. From then until they entered the classroom, he laughed uncontrollably. As long as I get to fight, I can wait however long, but controlling myself is a bit difficult. Yong clung to his leg, getting tossed around until he felt dizzy. The class president instructed everyone. Students in the evening class, please eat first and then go to the third floor, we're ending class here today. Lee Ho ran to tell her and handed Yong over. I have some things to take care of, so please take him with you. Yong looked pale and disgusted. Yong's thought, what the heck? The excited class president quickly hugged him and turned to leave. Yong was panicked in her arms. Lee Ho returned to the meeting place to wait for Kang Cheol. After a while, Kang Cheol burst through the door, and Lee Ho laughed happily, saying, I've been waiting for you. Kang Cheol looked at him while reaching into his backpack to grab a pair of gloves and put them on like a true boxer. Yes, it's okay, you waited here in silence. Lee Ho looked intently at Kang Cheol. Did he like to use gloves when fighting? Kang Cheol, wearing his gloves, looked at him. You like fighting? Lee Ho replied unexpectedly with a wronged expression, like, you're wrong, I don't like fighting. Images of him being hit by mistake flashed in his mind. The pain and effects of the hit had stimulated his muscles to make a muscle noise when moved. From the past to the present, only fighting makes me feel alive. So I have no choice but to fight, he said with a satisfied expression. Kang Cheol stood there helplessly, his expression didn't quite match his words. Kang Cheol grabbed another pair of gloves and threw them at Lee Ho. It hit him in the head and hand. Ouch. Kang Cheol threw his backpack on the ground and reminded him to put it on in preparation for the start of the duel. Lee Ho quickly put on his gloves and excitedly charged at Kang Cheol with a sinister smile. Kang Cheol raised his hand to block the blow, wincing in pain. This bastard is really impatient. While fighting back, he reassured himself, no, I shouldn't be angry, I came here to fight, so why am I like this, am I too emotional? After Lee's move, the two were thrown far away. Kang Cheol took a defensive stance. Please think of this as just a simple match. Don't let your body relax. The two rushed to punch and kick each other in the face. No one is worse than anyone else. Kang Cheol took a punch to the face and suddenly realized, this feeling, I like this. Relax, use the rotational force from your body, transfer it to your fingers, and attack his face. That's right, this feeling, this is fun. Kang Cheol's face became wild, a crazed smile on his lips. This is boxing. At this time, Lee Ho received a very surprising punch about his ability. If he hadn't trained before, everything would have been very dangerous. Now, everything is still under control. This match is really fun. Lee Ho is getting more and more crazy. During the self-study class on the evening shift, there was a beautiful red-haired student who was sleeping soundly, when suddenly he heard a loud shaking that woke him up. He sat up, wiped his drool, and saw a pastry on the desk with a note. He picked it up and read, "Why are you always sleeping when I come, are you a sleep demon?" The red-haired boy quickly checked the time on his phone, stood up, and grabbed his backpack. "I won't be late." He tiredly ran and ate cake. He is Lee Haejin. Suddenly he saw the lower class fighting fiercely. The two people in the match were still very enthusiastic about each other, shaking their fists. The person stomped his feet like that. At that moment, Kang Cheol received a kick from Lee Ho and was sent flying backward. Kang Cheol angrily shouted, "This is boxing, you're using your feet." Lee Ho proudly and confidently stood in the boxing studio. While Kang Cheol thought this guy didn't know anything about boxing, Lee Ho quickly stood up, raised his legs and prepared to kick with a savage smile. What rule says you can only use your hands in a fight? Kang Cheol immediately received a kick that knocked him over several times in pain. Lee Ho's continuous attacks made him defend slowly. I didn't know kicks could be that strong. He suddenly saw Lee Ho making a move with his lower body and panicked. This won't do, if my lower body weakens. Lee Ho swiftly kicked Kang Cheol's leg, but a chill ran down his spine as he realized. The Yong power-up effect had worn off. Kang Cheol sneered, "Is that all you've got?" Then he let out a wild laugh, looking at him. He laughed and provocatively looked at him. "You're tiring out, aren't you, ha?" Lee Ho could only nervously chuckle, sweating profusely, "Ha. He." Kang Cheol's laughter grew louder and more self-satisfied. The two roared with laughter in the room. Lee Hae-jun stood outside, eating a snack and looking disgusted. What are those two idiots doing fighting like that? Those pathetic fools. He glared angrily at the two, gritting his teeth, then put his hands in his pockets and walked away. Those guys are disgusting. In the fighting arena, Lee Ho was now on the defensive. He raised his leg into a defensive stance. From now on, I'll focus on defense. Kang Cheol, elated, charged forward and punched Lee Ho's leg. Gotcha. Lee Ho winced in pain, losing his balance and staggering. Kang Cheol continued his excited assault, hooking his jab at Lee Ho's jaw. After that hook to the jaw, Lee Ho was just left reeling. With this body, I can't win against a brute like him. He suddenly remembered, or, I could use that method. Lee Ho retreated, crouched, preparing for his next move. He lunged at Kang Cheol with a punch to the face, but Kang Cheol blocked it with one hand. Kang Cheol laughed triumphantly. I thought your kicks were weak, but your punches are even weaker. Then, unexpectedly, he received a flurry of powerful punches from Lee Ho. What's with that surprise? I'm a little dizzy, but it's okay. He grabbed Lee Ho's arm to block his attacks, angrily telling himself, from now on, I need to get serious. Lee Ho's rapid and nimble attacks left Kang Cheol unable to react. What's this? Kang Cheol took a headbutt as hard as rock and tumbled to the ground. Blood spurted from his nose like a fountain, and he was in agony. Lee Ho grinned viciously, so that really works. He used magic by accumulating mana, condensing the mana in the air at one point, but when condensing, it didn't just absorb mana, a lot of things in the air, like oxygen and fine dust, were also drawn into it. For example, cute little bacteria, those impurities were burned by the condensed mana, leaving only pure mana, however. If someone tries to condense mana in a place where it doesn't exist, like in the vacuum of space, only the air is sucked in, not destroyed by the mana, so when it's released, it shoots out like a cannon. Lee Ho looked at the energy blast, like a fingertip, and laughed wildly. I never thought I'd have to use magic like this. Lee Ho stood proudly, watching Kang Cheol sprawled on the ground, and smiled with relish. This guy is interesting. Lee Ho approached Kang Cheol's face, opening his mouth as if to eat him, but his hand was stopped. He blushed, misunderstanding Lee Ho's intentions. What are you going to do to me? Kang Cheol blushed, turning away shyly. Don't, please. He hastily retreated towards the door, embarrassed and flustered. I admit I lost, but I have my limits. This is so embarrassing. He covered his face angrily. I want to say, next time. He immediately opened the door and left tiredly. See you next time. Lee Ho stood there craving his food and left. Back to the classroom leader's house at night. The girl gave Yong a pile of stuff, loading it onto his back. He worriedly carried the heavy load, probably enough, he thought. She kindly cared for him. If you need anything else, just let me know. Yong turned away with an understanding expression. He quickly jumped from the balcony and ran into Kang Cheol, who was holding his face in pain and walking away. He touched his face, remembering he'd forgotten his glasses. Yong then remembered, that was the guy who'd shoved him the other day. Yong, will avenge this. He threw the bag off his back onto the street and began his revenge. Kang Cheol saw this, surprised. My head's still a little dizzy. Yong unexpectedly charged at him with a ferocious look. He unexpectedly dodged the blow with the reaction speed of a boxer. 16 seconds, then Yong received a punch, flying to the ground and writhing in pain. He panicked and stepped back. What the? Then turned away in pain from the previous fight, leaving Yong lying on the ground. Lee Ho walked over curiously, wondering what happened. The next morning, Lee Ho carried Yong Yong in a cloth bag on his back. "So, how do you like the outfit?" "Thank you for your efforts, the class leader is also a very good subordinate. Because it's not suitable for me to show my face, I'll just stay here." Kang Cheol, his face scarred, passed by and saw Lee Ho, then spoke. "Today is a funny day, why are you wearing a uniform?" Lee Ho is from the heavens, so he doesn't really understand what Saturday is. Kang Cheol was helpless, with a dumbfounded expression. What's wrong with this guy? Kang Cheol pushed the thought aside and spoke to him. "Whatever, I want to talk to you. Do you like fighting, like me?" Lee Ho laughed maniacally and sinisterly. "I only fight when necessary." Kang Cheol thought, who would believe that after what he did? Kang Cheol smiled, looking at him, suggesting cooperation. "Want to come with me? If you come with me, you'll never be bored because you'll always have someone to fight with." Lee Ho turned, unexpectedly laughing wildly and joyfully, praising. "You're a good guy. Okay, take me somewhere I can fight right now." Seeing his eagerness, he explained, "No, I mean, you can't fight immediately." Lee Ho showed an irritated attitude, as if he'd been tricked. "You tricked me, are you really good then?" Kang Cheol anxiously reassured him. "No, listen." The two talked happily and became good friends. Back to a beautiful morning, a clear blue sky, a weekday morning at Jogi High School. The classrooms were quiet. In the restroom, a senior stood outside, blocking the door to prevent other students from entering. He was the restroom manager, a curly-haired guy who'd been beaten by Kang Cheol, and charged a fee for using the restroom. Inside the restroom, Yangjo, a muscular man with spiky hair, hands in his pockets, leaned against the wall, looking at the curly-haired guy. "How much did you make?" The manager nervously reached into his pocket and hesitantly gave him 20,001. Yangjo gritted his teeth, glared angrily, and threatened the manager. "What's this? How is this enough?" The curly-haired guy angrily crumpled the money in his hand. "It's all because of that guy. If I'd sold the car, I would have made so much more." Yangjo vented his anger, punching the wall hard, furious at being disrupted and not making money. His face was flushed, veins bulging, his expression menacing. "If I have to pay back the principal and interest, this isn't enough. Call them all here." Continuing the story, Saturday night, a starry sky. Kang Cheol and Lee Ho strolled happily. Kang Cheol cheerfully told Lee Ho, "I only use my fists against bad guys." Lee Ho listened intently to Kang Cheol, "But after fighting you, I've learned a lot." Lee Ho looked at him excitedly. "Fighting you is better than fighting weaklings, right?" He seriously agreed. "Okay, sooner or later, we'll have a rematch." Lee Ho looked to the side, noticing smoke. "What's that?" The two unexpectedly looked towards the smoke. "Smoking. How much are they smoking to create that much smoke?" Kang Cheol immediately got into professional mode, putting on his glasses and mask, preparing for action, high probability. In the thick smoke, two thugs were puffing away, laughing and chatting. There was a dark shadow behind them, but they didn't know that a group of people had gathered to talk. "Is there anything else? We'll collect all the money, you can't tell anyone, remember." Kang Cheol suddenly appeared in front of a random guy who was robbing someone. One of them, a burly thug, slapped him and sneered, "Who are you? Hand over the money." That guy immediately took a punch from Kang Cheol's face and flew to a corner. Another shouted in panic, "Are you the biggest bastard?" A group of thugs glared at him menacingly. Kang Cheol noticed, somewhat vaguely, that they seemed to be a large group. Lee Ho, his face completely covered, stood beside him, brimming with excitement. "Let me help you." The two charged into the group of thugs, ready for a fight. The thugs scattered in terror as the two quickly overpowered them. Lee Ho watched, blushing with glee. They were surprisingly weak. A thug tried to grab his leg, cursing, "You bastard." Lee Ho looked at him with a smirk. "You just pinched me." He delivered a merciless punch. "You need to be taught a lesson." The thugs lay sprawled on the ground, groaning in pain. Lee Ho thought to himself, scornfully, "They're pathetically weak, their muscles are flimsy, their breathing labored, no challenge at all. Kang Cheol appeared before the woman like a knight in shining armor, picking up her purse and asking. "Are you alright? This is yours." A red-haired girl sat on the ground, tears streaming down her face, terrified. Kang Cheol recognized her as an old friend. A large, boisterous crowd approached. Their leader was at the front. Yong felt uneasy. One of their accomplices had texted their leader, Yangzhou, earlier, informing him of Il Chi-mai's presence in the alley near the school. Boss Yangzhou, scowling and gritting his teeth, said, "Good, we found him." Kang Cheol exuded a killing intent that rivaled Ki's. He pulled a club from behind his back. "I didn't want this to escalate." The two heroes stared down the crowd. Li Ho, always eager for a fight, had rosy cheeks. "They'll probably be stronger, that's what I'm hoping for." Boss Yangzhou yelled, gesturing for his gang to attack. A mob rushed forward. Li Ho displayed a demonic grin, like a predator eager for the kill. A chaotic brawl ensued. Amidst the chaos, Yangzhou landed a punch, sending Li Ho sprawling. Yangzhou, angry and curious, pointed, "What, he has another guy with him." In a different, peaceful scene, June waited, looking at his phone. "It's taking longer than I thought. Why isn't my sister answering?" Suddenly, he heard a fight erupting in the nearby alley where Kang Cheol was fighting. Lee Hae-jun watched with disdain. "Those punks are causing trouble again. You guys have too much time on your hands." He saw his sister being bullied by thugs, and Kang Cheol rescuing her. No way. Hae-jun's father had been a martial arts champion. To Hae-jun, his father was the strongest man. He was obsessed with strength, to the point of losing himself in it. He was not only violent in the ring but also at home. To Hae-jun, he was a monster. His mother left to escape the domestic violence, but he couldn't. He was beaten daily, yet he stayed. Because he had to protect his sister. Despite being constantly injured, he endured and faced the monster. He always wished to be stronger to protect his sister, he observed. He endured. When Hae-jun grew as strong as his father, it happened. Hae-jun fought back against the monster within his father, seeking victory and survival. Therefore, for him, fighting is survival. Receiving criticism from your father, "Ungrateful man, I raised you, and if you do this to me, I'll kill you. Both of you brothers." When the beast within him rose to protect his sister, he killed the monster that day. And on the day of his sentencing, the court took pity on his circumstances. After a year in juvenile detention, he returned to school and now works while studying to support his sister. He strove not to fall. His health was his asset to support his sister. Hae-jun swore he would always value himself. That's why he felt disgusted when he saw others disregard their bodies. Remembering those two fighting in the classroom, he would never act like that. When he saw his sister, Lee Dal-jun, being bullied, he was stunned. As long as no one harmed his sister, he could endure anything. Hae-jun was shocked to see Dal-jun. Yangzhou looked satisfied, while Li Ho lay prostrate on the ground. Yong, worried about his master, asked his companions while Yangzhou was off guard, "Iljami still hasn't arrived." Hae-jun appeared behind him, delivering a powerful kick to Yangzhou's leg. He collapsed, Hae-jun grabbing his head painfully. "What the hell?" Hae-jun grabbed his head and slammed it repeatedly against the ground, furiously. Meanwhile, Yong tried to wake his master, repeatedly calling him. His master was suddenly trampled by Hae-jun, who used the momentum to sprint towards his sister. Kang Cheol noticed something amiss. The thugs were dealt with swiftly, piquing his curiosity. The menacing thugs approaching from behind were also quickly dispatched by Hae-jun, ending up sprawled on either side of Kang Cheol. Hae-jun lost control, cursing Kang Cheol with a deadly aura. "You trash, you shouldn't have overstepped your limits." Kang Cheol raised his hand, signaling for peace. "Wait," then Dal-jun recognized her brother, Big Brother. Kang Cheol was surprised. "You have a brother." Hae-jun, with a fierce aura, lunged forward. Kang Cheol, unprepared, was sent flying and landed on the ground. Jun quickly grabbed his sister and ran. She accidentally dropped her wallet. As they ran, Yangzhou blocked their path. Yangzhou, enraged and furious, roared and cursed, his face contorted like a wild beast. "You dog, where do you think you're going? Do you think you're Iljami or something?" Jun charged forward, fists raised. Then another powerful punch sent him flying backward. Li Ho had woken up and was stronger than before. Smiling foolishly, Jun was surprised by the clash. How did this guy? Jun quickly pulled his sister away from the chaos. Li Ho stood there, laughing triumphantly, forgetting to cover his face. Kang Cheol reminded him, "What are you doing? Cover your face." Yangzhou, in pain on the ground, watched the two laugh and run away. He was furious, his teeth bared like grinding mills, his eyes bulging as if about to pop out, his veins throbbing. Those damn dogs. Back home, taking refuge in the class president's room, the two heroes sketched the leader. His name was Yangzhou. Yangzhou from Chimchi High, Kwok Dujian from Chimguk High, and Kim Junjio from Chimnyak High. These three were known as Godorii. As a side note, Godorii refers to a Korean card game, similar to Watatu, with 3 cards representing the national bird, the swallow, and the jay. Kang Cheol seriously explained that although they were criminals, they hadn't caused much trouble, but recently there had been an increase in robberies on the streets. I was wondering why, but it turned out they were the people I used to feed and steal. And Yangzhou, who looks like their leader, seems to be the culprit behind it all. Li Ho looked dumbfounded, very confused by what I was saying. What's a criminal, what's robbery, and what the heck is Godorii? Kang Cheol stared at him like a newborn baby, completely oblivious to everything around him. Angry and helpless, he exclaimed, "What don't you know? Is your brain just for decoration?" Yong, in his pocket, angrily popped out, "I've had enough, you jerk," he pointed at Kang Cheol. "I can't take it anymore, Yong. How dare you talk to your master like that?" He was surprised and curious, a talking frog. Yong, even more agitated, stood on Li Ho's head. "This is Yong," he introduced, "he's my friend." Kang Cheol was suspicious. "You're really suspicious, you don't even know common sense, yet you own a talking frog, no way." Li Ho smirked, "You're quick, human, I'm a god." At the same time, he blurted out, "I'm an alien." Kang Cheol denied it. "Are you stupid?" Li Ho questioned. "What's an alien anyway?" Yong protested angrily, "Single-celled organism, I'm not a frog, Yong." The innocent class president, who was sewing, was annoyed. "Why did you come to my house?" When Li Ho offered her Yong, she immediately agreed. She happily looked at Yong, eager to touch him. "He can stay as long as he likes, haha." Kang Cheol shouted, "In short, the big shot you fought was that jerk Yangzhou, he's our target." He recalled Yangzhou bullying Daljun, his face hardening. "I hate what he's doing." Li Ho remembered him. "It's been a long time since I felt this hierarchical gap again. It used to take me a long time to overcome it, I never expected to experience it again." Li Ho looked at him seriously, "But with my current body, I can't win, I need to train." Kang Cheol agreed. "Right, you get tired too quickly, want to come to my gym and train?" Li Ho shook his head. "You're not bad at fighting, but I don't like it. I need something harder, more intense, and something. How should I explain this?" Yong found and brought the phone to his master, "Or this." Both of them looked at the phone, which was showing a fight video. A direct blow to the liver. A knockout, the challenger has failed. That's 13 consecutive wins. Anyone can challenge, win and get 1 million won in cash instantly. Every Saturday night at 7 p.m. at Seep Park, everyone watching the intro video gasped, "Wow, this Kim, the main character, he's also part of Godorii." Li Ho looked at him. "Godorii, you said that guy was also part of Godorii, right?" The two looked at each other and understood immediately. Li Ho smiled and stood up. "Okay, I have a goal. First, defeat Yangzhou, then, defeat Godorii." At this time, a conflict was taking place in the divine realm and the palace of the earth god. Purple lightning bolts filled the scene. God Elmir Lucifer stood in the sky, holding two tridents, his massive wings spread wide. He made an ugly, grumpy face. That guy looks so easy, but why am I weaker than him, why? He went crazy with rage, why not, why can't I do it? Suddenly, Yangzhou woke up, furiously punching the door before turning away with the angry face of a wild beast. The person sitting in the bathroom looked at the punch mark through the door and panicked, "Are you in a hurry?" Outside the public restroom, Yangzhou and a guy with curly hair were talking. "I didn't get anything, without money, I can't catch Iljami." The curly-haired guy looked at his phone, apologetic, "Actually, I have this." Yangzhou aggressively asked, "What's this?" "This is Daljan's wallet, it fell out, and there's some loose change." Looking at that guy with curly hair in anger, he wanted to die. Curly hair trembled in fear. The kids these days are really. Suddenly her name tag fell out. Yangzhou picked it up and read it. He smirked wickedly, having obtained the information, this will be useful. The next day, under a clear blue sky, Li Ho and Yong Yong were following the map drawn by the class president. Yong Yong stared intently at the map, meticulously tracing the route, after going straight. Turn left at the next row. Then go one more step, oh, sorry. Hee. While walking, they encountered a jogger and a dog running in the opposite direction. The puppy saw Yong Yong and, barking incessantly, jumped up and bit him, causing Yong Yong to cry out as he walked. Turning back, seeing the hateful glare, he felt resentful. How dare such a lowly creature as you defy me? I have magic, I will definitely find and kill you. They found the address, here it is. They lined up, there was a girl with two orange pigtails reading the numbers, accept, next, reject, next, reject, next. It was their turn. The girl with two pigtails looked up at the man. "Ah, it's the weekend, by Dulgi." Yong Yong whispered, "That's right, just say by Dulgi High School, just say, that's right, and you'll be fine." He quickly replied, "That's right." The girl interviewing them asked, "What about your experience?" He was surprised. "Experience, what experience?" The girl hurriedly explained, "Anything's fine, boxing, wrestling, street fights, just to let us know." He raised his hand, counting the number of fights. "Fighting experience, how long has it been?" 1, 2. "About 3 million years of combat experience." Those around them burst into laughter. The girl found his enthusiasm amusing. "Okay, you're accepted. The participation fee is 50,001. Yong Yong quickly slapped the money onto his shoulder. He readily agreed. "Anything else?" At this moment, the class president was searching everywhere and ended up asking her mother, "Mom, have you seen my wallet, the pink one?" Yong Yong was the culprit who had stolen the class president's wallet. He emptied it out, revealing 46,001, 4,000 short. The girl generously said, "It's all right, go ahead, here's the rest." The girl called out for the next person. The two of them looked around nervously. Li Ho glanced at a mysterious man in a blue shirt, sensing something about his physique. "With that size and muscle density, he's been training hard. That's the guy we saw last night, right, Godori?" The blue-shirt man, wearing a hat that obscured his face, was calmly smoking a cigarette with his arms crossed. The girl with orange pigtails appeared beside the man in blue, raising her phone. "The match is about to begin. Participants, please gather, and first, let's introduce our champion. The champion has won for 13 consecutive weeks." Lee immediately ran forward to challenge the champion. He smiled smugly inwardly. A match means both sides have agreed to fight. If that's the case, then there's no need to wait for the opponent's first move, right? Seeing Li Ho about to attack, the girl with orange pigtails rushed to stop him, questioning and angry, pointing her hand. "What are you doing? Didn't you see the announcement?" She held it up in front of him. "You can't fight like that." He looked intently at the diagram. this is a bracket tournament, the girl with orange pigtails explained, the program is starting, and now, the fourth match begins. Now, Lee Ho was fighting the blonde-haired guy he met on the road. Everyone around was ready with their phones, recording. Lee Ho was confident, a self-proclaimed 3-million-year combat veteran, warrior with 3 million years of experience, and his opponent is a disciple of a famous Chinese martial arts master who is an international student in Chinese boxing. Everyone around started betting. I bet 20,001 on that Chinese guy, and I bet on his name. I gave him 3 million years of experience. Yong sat and waited. Finally, the master's match came. Of course, the master. He suddenly saw the pampered dog that had bitten his butt before. It was staring at him and barking from the opposite side. His unpleasant memory of that damned dog returned. He leaped high, landing like a wuxia hero, right beside his master. "What's with you, Yong?" He furiously charged. On the other side, the pampered dog aggressively charged as well. The people around were startled. "What's this, a dog?" The Chinese guy exclaimed, "What, Cerberus, how did you get off your leash?" The girl's eyes gleamed like car headlights. She was thrilled, crazy. "Folks, this is a real double match, Yong and the pampered dog, even more intense than the main fight. This is an extremely rare match. Both the owner and their pet are fighting together, between a 3-million-year experienced warrior and a Chinese martial arts exchange student." When people saw Yong's bizarre appearance, they started chattering. "What is that, a mythical lizard? It has horns and wings," someone exclaimed in astonishment. The excited girl shouted, announcing the start of the match. The exchange student clasped his hands in front of him, bowing respectfully. "Are you familiar with Sangyeongwon?" "Sangyeongwon is a martial art that mimics animal movements," he said, raising a sharp hand. "For an unarmed human to defeat a beast is almost impossible. It's very dangerous, so be careful." Having said that, he dashed toward Lee Ho. His opponent confidently leaped, shouting, "Sangyeongwon, Tiger Fist." Its graceful movements create distractions. Then unleashed a powerful attack. Before he could finish his sentence, Lee Ho landed a punch to his stomach, causing him excruciating pain. The exchange student's face went pale, his mouth agape, he cried out in misery. Lee Ho stood proudly, while his opponent writhed on the ground, clutching his stomach and groaning. He looked down at him scornfully. "Even if it's imitated, it's still just human movement, nothing special." The other guy gritted his teeth, clutching his stomach, and slowly stood up. He thought to himself, "After just one exchange, I felt it clearly." His face was beaded with sweat, his eyes were barely open, but he was intently observing. Finally, he stood, unsteady on his feet. "A wall," he concluded. He breathed heavily, resolving in his heart, "I have no choice but to use it." He recalled his master's warning, "That's the last resort, it's extremely dangerous, humans should never use it." After a moment, the exchange student's face darkened. He raised his hands, preparing to use some secret technique. "I'm sorry, master." Then, the exchange student planted one hand on the ground, generating immense power. Lee Ho was briefly astonished. He was puzzled by his opponent's actions. Meanwhile, Yong was furious. He was sweating profusely. He stared at the barking Cerberus, worried. "Damn it, I only use magic, I'm still weak in hand-to-hand combat." Suddenly, Cerberus lunged, shocking him. Cerberus aggressively charged, eyes wide, using incredible speed. Suddenly, its legs multiplied, then another one appeared. Yong was stunned to see 3 Cerberuses before him. The girl quickly commented, "Everyone, did you see that? The Chihuahua looks like it has 3 bodies. Is this a ninja dog?" Cerberus has the upper hand. Its mouth gaped, revealing sharp teeth, as it attacked Yong with its Cerberus-style Chihuahua skills. Yong finally realized that the middle one was real. He used all his might to bite the middle one, but unfortunately, he was wrong. Cerberus quickly grabbed him, causing him pain. Yong. After that blow, he fell to the ground. The girl's voice announced, a spectacular deceptive strike, followed by a series of consecutive attacks. Cerberus has taken control of the fight. Cerberus maintained its momentum, baring its teeth, staring intently at its opponent. Meanwhile, the butlers. Suddenly, all eyes turned to the international student. He was falling all four limbs to the ground. The girl screamed in panic, "Wait, what is this?" In this position is called Sangyeongwon 4-kick mode. He suddenly lunged forward with the speed of a cheetah. But Lee Ho showed no fear, he remained motionless, waiting for his opponent's attack. The onlookers outside burst into mocking laughter. "Hilarious, ha ha ha, he's running on all fours, haha," someone sneered, "this is so funny, Sangyeongwon is so outdated, ha ha ha." Only his master remained silent, watching the match intently. His face darkened, he muttered unhappily, "I told you not to do that in front of others." He was only a few steps from Lee Ho, who remained calm and observant. His eyes widened as he noticed his opponent lowering his stance. His sharp hand swiped downwards in a tiger-like motion. It landed squarely on Lee Ho's face, without missing. It also left scratches on his handsome face. The exchange student landed safely on all fours. Lee Ho, on the other hand, winced in pain, clutching his face. He slowly lowered his hands, his face darkened as he speculated, if that wasn't a human hand, but the claw of a beast. The more he thought about it, the colder sweat he broke out in. "I'm dead." The exchange student lowered himself again, gnashing his teeth, preparing his stance. In an instant, he dashed towards Lee Ho again, surprising him, again. His hand expertly swiped across Lee Ho's face, a cat-like move, but Lee Ho nimbly dodged it. Next, he used a chihuahua move, snapping at Lee Ho's leg. He also kicked him with a powerful horse kick. Lee Ho was slightly taken aback, he clenched his fists, sweat dripping down his face. He was amazed, "I've never seen anyone use their muscles to move like a quadruped." He gritted his teeth in frustration, "I can't predict his movements." Lee Ho wondered what to do. Suddenly, a sinister smile spread across his face. His eyes widened, as if he had realized something. He looked down at his legs and thought, "That's right, if I think of him as any other quadruped." He regained his composure, looking at his opponent charging towards him. Surely, the weaknesses will be the same. Lee Ho dropped to one knee, surprising his opponent. His legs possessed tremendous strength, his muscles suddenly bulged. Then he leaped into the air like a rocket. The exchange student was bewildered as Lee Ho hung suspended above him. The people around quickly took out their phones to film him. Some scoffed, "What the heck was that jump, crazy?" The exchange student's mouth dropped open in fear. "No, from above." Before he could react, Lee Ho's foot landed on his head. In an instant, he had reversed the situation, pinning his opponent under his foot. With a confident look, he declared, "The weakness of a quadruped is the sky." The onlookers were shocked, they screamed in disbelief, "No way, Sangyeongwon put all its faith in him." Lee Ho anxiously glanced at his spirit beast, and Yong. It had been beaten up by Cerberus and couldn't get up. Cerberus stared at him, baring its teeth and growling. He glared at it, its eyes were wide, trying to bare its strong teeth. Then, it suddenly rolled onto its side. He stared at it, puzzled. Chihuahua-style skills: strong, weak, weak, strong, strong against the weak, weak against the strong. The female host declared a clear defeat for the Chinese exchange student using Sangyeongwon. Cerberus forfeited. Victory for the 3-million-year warrior. The exchange student struggled to his feet. Lee Ho stood beside him, smirking and sighing. Outside, people started searching online. One curiously asked, "What are you doing?" Another replied, "Searching online for the price of adopting a lizard. It's illegal, but what if I can use magic?" The match chart continued to be crossed out in many squares. Finally, the Chinese exchange student's name was crossed out. Looking at the chart, the girl announced the result of the fifth match. The 13-time champion advanced to the finals. She announced the sixth match: boxing, bioart, diamond-level martial arts. Opponent: Chinese exchange student vs. 3-million-year warrior. She declared that the sixth match would decide the second finalist. Lee Ho stared intently at his opponent. His face was extremely serious. The announcement rang out again, 3,000,000-year warrior, you have defeated Sangyeongwon. His opponent appeared, he exhaled deeply. The girl announced, his opponent is the representative of Eastern boxing in the game, but a diamond-level boxer. Boxing organism art martial arts. He frowned and curled his mouth in contempt. This person's name is Gwak Cheol, his record against Mu is 1 win, 1 loss, he didn't look favorably upon him. Lee Ho also stared intently at his opponent. Ah, he said cheerfully, recalling a past encounter, we meet again. Gwak Cheol broke into a cold sweat. He recalled several instances where he had been soundly defeated by him before.